All right, I got my buddy, CrossFit instructor over here at Grind House Crossfit. Grind House CrossFit.
What's up, fam?
Joe. Keep going. Keep rolling that shit.
What's up, fam?
So Joe lifts way too much weight than he probably should. So tell us what's going on, and I'm going to show you a little.
I'm experiencing some pain in my hand when I go overhead with weight. Using this as an example, just show everybody what's going on. So if I'm holding weight in this way with my thumb over the bar, thumb behind the bar, monkey palm, for example, either one of these variations, once I go overhead, I'm experiencing a sharp pain across my hand right here. Okay, so the only time I'm not experiencing that pain is if I hold a hook grip, which is thumb down, 2 fingers over, and I keep this straight wrist position overhead. So what Eugene's going to do for me is he's going to help tape this up to apply a little bit of support so I stop overextending training.
Probably what Joe did somehow in his lift, he probably strained some of these muscles in here. We have to really get into specifics. So to diagnose him, I kind of checked a little bit of his strength. So I had him kind of hold in the static position. I kind of gave him some resistance. He had a little bit of discomfort. And also I kind of poked on here, kind of palpated, and he was some tenderness in here. So some treatment things, obviously just light stretching and rest, and you can use Epsom salt bath, things like that. But Joe is going to work out today, so I'm going to tape him up with a couple ways he's going to basically support. So the idea behind taping is we want to put his hand in a little bit of a predisposed, like flexed position. The reason why is because that tape is going to stretch some, so that way it gives him a little bit of tension, and it holds the tape and supports his thumb. So we're just going to use regular athletic tape, and we're going to make 2 anchors, so around his wrist and then around his thumb, and then we're going to kind of do some strips of tape from there. So
this ain't the first time I've had this injury. It's happened over the last 5 years, I'd say 2 or 3 different times. Normally I get it, I think, from hyperextending on a lift.
Yeah, over bends, like you said, overextends that thumb, some of those muscles, and there's a lot of muscles in there. We don't have to get into specifics of it, but there are a lot of the muscles that do flexion and kind of adduction, some of those things that kind of keep that grip nice and strong, keep that thumb nice and strong. So do a little anchor. And the reason why we do this is so the tape will have something to stick to. So from here to here, and we'll just kind of make a couple of layers. So we're going to try to support from this end, so give him some support, so when that thumb wants to be pulled out, that tape's going to help keep it in a nice, comfortable position and give it a little support. You can do, this is like I believe a 1-inch or 2-inch piece of tape. You can cut it in half, or you can actually use the whole thing. I like to use cut it in half just because it allows me some different variations where I can support it just from different angles. So this is about the length I want. You can make it a little longer and we'll cut it. So I made some strips over here, and we're just going to basically get Joe in a little bit of a flexed position. Here, put some tension on the tape, just like that, and we'll anchor it down later. You can go different planes. We want to kind of support it in all these different directions. But we don't want to restrict his movement. We also want to allow him to have some good movement in that thumb, but kind of give him some support. We'll go here. You can kind of overlap the tape however you want, just to give it a little support. So kind of this, it's called the thenar eminence, so this whole area right here. So I want to give it some support to where down where he has a good grip. And the hook grip's a good idea because you're really locking that thumb in. You're not forcing that thumb to work as hard. So if you can do a hook grip, I think that's okay. You can do as many strips as you like. I'll do one more. Right there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to lock that tape in. So we can go around the thumb. You don't want to make it too bulky, but lock it in like that. And it's not terribly bulky. Joe can, if Joe wants to use like gymnastic grips or other grips, you'll actually be able to do that. There, boom. Oh, screwed that up. Lock it in like that. If there's any excess pieces, just trim them. That's it. So he's got movement down, but it limits his movement up and away this way. So Joe's gonna go lift a shit ton of weight.
No, not today. No lifting today. Recovery, gymnastic stuff. Thanks, man.